I've
Pretty
been slowly
consistently.
giving that out to you through
Yes, you're right. Never
inspiration.
mind. Mm-hmm. Never mind.
Okay. So when last we saw our adventurers, you all had decided to return back to Winterguard, the dwarven outpost with the dwarven boar riders, from your expedition um, out into Emberhearth, from your adventure through our Tilde campaign, our holiday Tilde campaign, where you gained a bauble, a thing that came from the eye of a unicorn on a merry-go-round, um, which you were warned was quite dangerous. However, being the foolhardy crew that you all are, that shit don't mean nothing to you. And so you decided to not only play around with said bubble, but to try to see what said bubble can do, which you realized, at least into some capacity, it is capable of granting minor wishes to you all. You all took said bauble with you in your travels, and along the way, Valar decided that due to the proximity of your return, that he would like to stop by his old childhood home, now that his revenge has been taken upon the one who slew him as a child. However, upon arriving there, you all realized that fairly recently, within a day or two, a number of the frost orcs, the orcs that live in the Silent Wilds, had raided Valar's town and kidnapped his little sister and slain his mother. And you gather this information from his mother's last breath. Actually, quite literally, her last breath, as Valar brought her back from the dead to glean this information.
After last breath.
After last breath. The lastest of breaths.
Exactly.
From there, it was only necessary to go chasing after these orcs, because God knows what orcs would do to small little children, girls. Something that would happen in Hollywood, probably. And I hurt Nate. And pushing yourselves to your limits, exhausted yourselves thoroughly until you arrived at the Silent Wilds. Upon that point, Beebus, realizing that you still were a little bit behind and probably outmatched, especially due to your exhausted state, once more pulled out the bauble and wished upon it. From that point, the Silent Wild began to croak and groan, and from that point, you heard the howls ahead of you of many an orc and warg. Charging forward, you came upon a grisly scene, as if those orcs and wargs had suddenly been pitched into a instant frozen location, many of them freezing on spot, like many of our woolly mammoth exhibitions in our current day. You all progressed forward, now knowing that the danger was severely slackened, and reached what looked like crater from some thing that had fell from the heavens and impacted the earth. Inside that crater were a number of the surviving orcs, as well as Balar's little sister, naked and chained to an altar made of ice. Taking your time and positioning yourselves exactly how you felt you all were needed, you ambushed those orcs, slaying them in a quick manner, but with fireballs, assassinations, lightning, and things of the sort. From that point, you all rescued Balar's sister, and that is where we left off, with her being freed from her chains, shivering naked in the frozen wasteland of the Silent Wilds.
I mean, seriously,
What do you all do?
Don't girls know they need to be wearing clothes out in the middle of the frozen tundra?
It's the fashion, Mom. So I think the way we left it was actually Pamina, Balar's sister, recognized Balar with a surprised, huh. What do y'all do?
Well then.
She crooks an eyebrow at you, a frozen eyebrow.
I want to keep our orc captive away from Valium and Balar for right now. Because I know how their interrogation methods are.
And
They're
also
effective.
you notice that while it is severely cold out and Pamina is definitely shivering, she doesn't seem to be too concerned with her nakedness. She's more her covering herself up is more for the preservation of oneself versus the don't look at me, I'm naked preservation.
Yeah,
Physical
I guess
preservation versus moral.
Hey!
for both reasons, Vulcan would try to find a way to dress her right away.
For some...
Yeah, so you pull out like a bedroll, like a blanket or something, and drape it over
Yeah,
her.
definitely. And if I'm getting close enough to do that, I was waiting for it, but I would like to cast Divine Sense and see if she has the same kind of undead thing that Balar has. You know? I was really thinking...
So undead sense is the one where you detect the sense of a specific type, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you detect undead?
Yeah, and I was really thinking, because I thought we could detect all of them at once, and that's why I was thinking of kind of like heat vision sort of feel. But if I have to choose, I was thinking it's something more like a radar or a sonar, where I like pulse out this thing, and then I just see if something responds, right? So in this case, I'm pulsing out something like in the frequency of undead, which is like in my mind, it's like purple for some reason, and then see if something else resonates with that thing.
Tell you what, just because I'd like to see the severity effects, this will just be something I occasionally do. You can definitely detect undead, but let's also do like a 1d20 religion check. And if you do like really high, maybe I'll let you sense some of the other things on the list, because I think it's kind of bullshit that you only have to detect one.
All right.
But we'll leave it up to dice. As everyone in my group knows, when I don't feel that something is fair, I leave it up to the dice.
So yeah, I'm even at disadvantage because I am fatigued. So yeah.
Okay. So a 7.
Good memory.
Yeah.
Okay. You do not detect any undead in the immediate area, besides the deep willies that you get from when you glance at Balar. However, you also sense something of great consecration in the area. It's you get this, like, you basically look at Balar and you get that like kind of feel, and then you just get this weird feeling like you drank like a nice warm whiskey and it's like warming your chest, and you have no idea where it's coming from though. But like
it's
you just
consecration.
feel,
Not
not desecration, not bad, good, like
interesting,
like great and powerful good in the area. Like you feel it's like coming home from the wilds as a child, in your homeland, and like being warmed in front of a fire with like some warm tea, some warm like wintergreen tea, is like kind of that feeling that you get.
Okay.
But you don't know where. Where normally like your divine sense would tell you like where it is. Because you rolled really low, I'm gonna say you don't know where.
Yeah.
You just get that feeling.
I guess with that information, I'll probably go back to Jay's character. I forgot his name. Torgil.
Okay.
And see if he knows something about this area that is like to do with the gods or something, you know, just in case that's what I'm detecting. Since he's a cleric, he should know about that.
Sure. So what do you do, Thorgil? You see you see Valken walk over to you, and he kind of explains. He's like, "Hey, I got this feeling. Do you know anything?"
I don't think I really would, because this isn't really
Yeah, this
near
isn't-
my home right then.
Right.
I
If you were a
must have
mountain
read
dwarf, maybe
something.
you would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's either a religion check, or I guess I could try praying to Jatella again. That worked well last time.
Both would be religion checks, so kind of how you want to do it. You can either do a religion check to try to remember something about the history of this area religiously, or you can grab your holy symbol and see if you can tune in with Jatella.
Yeah, I'll try tuning in with Jatella.
Okay.
And it's not disadvantage or disadvantage, so 10.
You grab your symbol and you focus in on the voice that you have heard oh so recently from Jatella, trying to recall her power and magnitude, but unfortunately you are just too tired from the recent journey to tune in properly to her.
Wah, wah. So I tell him that, as far as I know, this area is it's a mystery to me.
All right. I say something like, the dawn will reveal, or something like that, because I plan to do stuff after we sleep.
Okay. So Pamina, she's well and heavily draped, considering that a blanket for a Goliath is easily like it's like 4 beach blankets put together for a small girl. She is well and truly bundled at this point. However, her feet are still in the snow, so she's kind of like tucked the blanket up under her feet, and she's kind of turned herself into a little blanket igloo.
Oh.
And she's kind of just watching, like, you all kind of just absorbing everything. She's gone through a lot the last few days, so she's not in a kind of outwardly normal Pamina self at this point.
Is there enough stuff around to like make a fire and set up camp here?
Yeah, you got
or do we wanna do
plenty
it
of.
elsewhere?
No,
plenty
I
of-
don't think we ought to stay here. In fact, Valar wants to suggest that we move to seek shelter.
Especially because these orcs were meeting other orcs.
Well, it does seem like a valid point to me.
Yeah.
True.
Actually, speaking of that, can I send Owlie up to just kind of keep an eye out in the area and make sure we're not going to get ambushed by anybody?
Sure.
And if I recall,
Give me a perception check for Outly.
okay.
Oh,
Wait.
shit. Find his character sheet.
Yeah, but Vulcan would like to come back here the next day. Just saying that now already.
I believe we're somewhat close to either Twilight Moor or Still Branch.
Why are we coming back here?
You are closer to the Twilight Moor than
Okay.
anything. But it's still a good probably day or two travel to one of those towns.
Okay.
Twilight Moor is more of a city, where Still Branch is more of a hunter's camp, a large outpost for like traders and hunters to go between Fehoth and Hodheim, for hunters that hunt the Silent Wilds to gain some respite.
Okay. Well, if our business is concluded here, there's a town nearby that we can go to. So it is pretty far.
So what do you all decide to do?
I mean, Vulcan would just suggest taking shelter in the woods. Like this is kind of like home to him. He doesn't seem very concerned about that.
So we had a captor, right?
You have
Yeah.
a captor, and you also have a
Captive.
recently was a captive.
I might have to start interrogating this guy.
Is that in character? Is that
Does the orc?
Oh, that's totally in character.
Riley stands next to Thorgil.
Does
He,
the orc speak anything but orcish, anyways? Because that
You
might be a
don't know.
problem.
You haven't had a chance to talk to him.
I can find out real fast.
Even if he doesn't, I have comprehend languages.
No. I have the tongue spell I was going to use the next day.
I speak common.
We know.
We'll find out
You-
if he speaks that.
You also speak threaten and deceive and emaciate. Or not emaciate. What's the word I'm looking? Eviscerate. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I do speak that very, very well.
So what's the plan?
Well, either way, I say we move out of here in case more orcs come.
So
yeah,
I
that
would
would be wise.
say let's find shelter somewhere nearby, but not
Yeah.
head all the way to a town just yet.
Okay. So someone needs to roll me a survival check to find a safe haven in the Silent Wilds. Fex, if you roll it, I'll give you advantage.
All right.
Yeah?
Just because
Okay.
you've been in the Silent Wilds, this
And-
is kind of homeland for you.
All right, does anyone
I'd
else
like
want?
to give him enhance ability too, if I can.
Well, it wouldn't really work, so you could have someone
Whoever
else roll and
tasked
give
with this.
them enhance, because you can't double.
I mean, he's got disadvantage anyway.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's right. So he would balance out, so then
Yeah.
you could give him advantage. Yeah, that totally works. So,
So I'll do that.
so survival
Okay.
with advantage.
Okay.
There, Falcon.
Oh my god.
Oh no! Oh no!
Dang. That
Even with advantage, Fex like kind of like points in a direction and then like just stumbles and crashes into the snow, and then like just has like just a bitch of a time in his plate mail getting back out of like this snow drift that he fell into. And by the time he's just like, I'm in no position to lead.
Yeah.
Could I give it a shot then?
Yeah, go for it.
do you are you you're not at a disadvantage right now, are you?
No, I succeeded all my Constitution saving throws.
That makes sense.
It makes sense for me too. I have a +6. But, you know.
As do I. As do I. And yet I failed 2 of them.
Okay. So you all stumble off. Thorgil kind of wading through with his short stature, and you don't find the best location in the world, but you guys find what is a giant oak tree that has frozen over, but it has been cracked at some point, and you all very uncomfortably are able to make shelter on the inside of this oak tree that has been kind of hollowed out with its age. The snow doesn't seem to be nearly as intense, and Fex, with a little bit of guidance that he can give, indicates that you should kind of close up the opening, which will create more of like an igloo for heat.
Yeah.
To permeate on the inside of this tree. It's enough where all of you could lay down your bedrolls, but maybe like your feet have to overlap in places as a whole, and definitely not enough space for any reasonable fire to be made. But overall, it's not too bad.
Every 6 seconds I can cast Firebolt, right?
Yes.
So can I use that to heat up like a big pile of rocks and bring them in there as like space heaters?
Yeah, you could totally do that.
Cool. So we're miserable but warm.
Wait, you also have. Do you have prestidigitation?
That would be far too simple for Beavis. I do.
Because I think that just heats things up too.
Does it? Well, I thought. Oh, it
Yeah.
actually. I thought it just like illusions. I can actually do.
Mhm.
I mean, this is way, way, way off topic.
You can light fires with prestidigitation.
Yeah, you can make like small fires in your hands, heat things.
You can light entire campfires with it.
Oh, chill, warmer flavor. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna warm up a whole bunch of. Oh no, but you can only do so much of it at a time. So I'll just use Firebolt to warm up a big pile of them, because I can only do it 3 times. So I want more than 3 hot rocks.
Well, you can only maintain 3 at a time.
Yeah.
So that does mean that you could probably maintain a decent amount. Anyways,
It doesn't matter.
yeah. So to aid a little bit, you see Beavis basically fireballing some rocks gleefully, which you all can tuck into your bedrolls to where your feet are to kind of warm your feet. At this point,
Oops.
you see that Pamina, she's gained a little bit more color to her face now. She seems a little bit more attentive instead of like kind of that half sleep, that drowsy sleep that she had. She seems to be a little bit more cognizant of things around. But she basically, the moment that you guys find this place, she kind of like crawls in with her giant blanket and just pushes herself into a corner and curls up inside of the blanket and just turns herself into a blanket lump.
I'll share some food with her too, and take the moment to ask her what she's been eating this whole time. She's feeling okay.
She eagerly takes the food and starts scarfing it down. And when you ask that, she just looks up at you, and then she kind of looks away and she goes, "Blood."
Oh.
Oh.
And how are you feeling? Okay, so there's. Vulcan wants to know if she has a cold or something for being naked this whole time. She's
No,
feeling like that, you know.
She definitely is heavily fatigued due to the conditions of the travel. But she tells you that she was clothed up until the point that they took her to the altar, and that's when they removed her clothing. It was in some kind of ritual fashion. It wasn't some just.
She wasn't
for the
kidnapped
fuck of
mid
it.
bath or something.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. But, if she was feeling unwell, I'll definitely pick up the detect poison disease just to make sure she's fine.
Yeah. And you also see she has like some kind of level of understanding of hygiene. Like she grabs like snow and rubs it between her hands to kind of try to clean them a little bit. And but yeah, any of the rations that you give her, she just devours them without a moment's hesitation. Whatever this blood that they were feeding her was definitely not of any major sustenance.
Yeah, I imagine.
So, hey sis, seen better days, huh?
She looks up at you and she kind of like frowns for a second as she kind of like stares you down, and then she goes, "Same could be said of you."
I said the truth.
And then I think maybe like this point she gets a little bit more of her sass back, and she goes, "So why didn't you rescue me sooner?"
Riley's gonna whisper to Thorgil, "Ooh, burn! That's a burn, dude. Burn."
We came as soon as we could.
No,
pushed it.
I'm not too hot, thank you.
God damn! I forgot.
And
She,
in fact, we might not have even known. Well, to start
Yeah.
with, I thought both you and Mom were dead for years and years. So there's that.
Well, how would you have known that?
Well,
You
you're in
didn't
the
come and find us. Apparently, you've been off doing other things, gathering this group of odd sorts, leaving Mom and me to myself.
Hey, Thorgil's
Young
not
brother,
weird.
You know.
Oh, I know. I met him. Both
Yeah,
of them.
she shivers when you say that.
Actually, I've got Pop's body in this bag.
The body bag.
Well, okay, not a body. He's a zombie. But
Oh,
anyway, that's beside the point. I'm
Don't you have your brother's head somewhere as well as?
yes, actually have brother's head as well.
She kind of like does like one of those like she chokes on a little bit of the rations when you say that, and then she kind of like she does another one of these piercing stares at you, and then she goes, "Serves them both, right?"
Yeah. Well, anyway, in the grand scheme of things, I'm only recently out of the wilderness. Like, I only recently came back to civilization, and then all this kind of just happened.
Uh-huh.
But it was sheer coincidence that we passed town just after, I guess the orcs came through.
Oh, I know it's not. You wanted to head out this way anyway.
Yeah, but it was coincidence that we wound up in the area.
She immediately responds with some kind of like, it's kind of like that thing where like she's definitely heard this from somewhere. It's definitely not from her, but she just immediately goes, "Coincidence is the thought of fools."
I like it.
Me too.
Universe is built on coincidence.
Well,
Coincidences are just the gods doing.
She points at Thorgo with a half loaf of flat bread. She goes, "That."
I like the idea that that's like the one bone of contention between Beavis and Thorgil. Like, we both love drinking and we're short. We have all these things in common, but that's just like a constant fight.
It's okay, Riley's with you there.
I like it.
Okay, so you guys are going to obviously take a long rest.
oh yeah.
That's
Probably nigh immediately.
that's one level of fatigue, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay.
However, are you wanting to set up a watch?
I'm setting
or
up an
any
I'm setting up
level
an
of security.
I'm setting up alarm because since we're traveling, I prepped that spell.
Okay,
Nice.
perfect.
So pretty much. Wait, do we still have the orc with us?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where are you putting the orc? He does not fit in the tree.
He's trussed up outside with bells on him, so if he moves, we can hear it.
With the rest of our stuff?
just let him freeze to death.
Also, do not forget that when you came to the, when you chased into the wilds, you had left shit behind to
Yeah.
speed up your travels.
Wait, we did?
So-
Isn't it back at
yes.
the village, though, or whatever? Or
No, it is towards the outer edge of the Silent Wilds. It was not amicable for you guys to travel through the forest, not on the road, so you left it at the wild's edge.
So what you're telling me is we don't have any bells.
You do not have a majority of your equipment.
Okay.
Unless we have it in our bag of holding.
Which we don't.
Yeah, I have all my stuff in my crazy wandering wizard carriage.
Ah.
Well, either way, I'll set up an alarm. Like, I mean, I get a 20-foot wide cube, so 20 feet around us, I guess, and then
Okay.
put another one, I guess, an inverse one around wherever we leave the orc, so that we know if he tries to do anything.
Okay, so you put like one on the orcs and then one on the orc and then one on your tree,
Yeah,
essentially.
and it's not gonna be like a mental one. It's just gonna be really loud and obnoxious. Well, sound of a handbell for 10 seconds within 60 feet. Yeah, so it'll be audible.
Like openly audible.
Yeah, so it's 60 feet of, it'll be audible within the tree?
Yeah,
Is that reasonable?
sure. It might ring out a little bit outside the trees.
Yeah,
just
but
because-
it'll be muffled at that point, right?
yeah.
Okay. That's
Okay. Alrighty. So with that, you all take a long rest. You will get all of your spells back, as well as your HP, and you get 1 point of fatigue removed if you have one.
Woo.
Did we get experience for the fight at the end of the last time or not?
You
No.
did not. You all. Let's see here. Let me calculator it out. You all got 1,366 XP.
Okay.
How much?
1,366.
Righteous.
Okay. And the event goes by without issue. You all don't have any problems. However, when you wake up, you see that the orc that you had trussed up outside the tree is frozen solid.
Rip.
Oh well.
He's a frost orc.
I
Like, should have
expected
been fine.
They are highly durable to frozen situations. However, 8 hours in sub-zero temperatures is enough to kill most things of warm blood.
It's not that bad a way to go, I think.
Yeah, he just
Oh,
kind of.
remembering right.
Yeah, you just fall asleep.
Do we have any like
Yes.
talk to dead abilities?
Yep, Valor
Yes.
can.
Okay, zombie boy, you have any questions for him?
Well, we could handle that later.
Okay.
Thorgil, just lop his head off and bring it with us. We can question him anytime.
I'm not your
Alright.
errand boy. You do it. I hand him my axe.
But you have an axe, and I have a knife.
And now you have his axe.
Oh.
As you guys are bickering, you start hearing a cracking sawing sound, and you see Pamina reach up with the head and hand it to Valar.
Oh,
I'll
add some
What-
initiative.
what did she use?
You see in her left hand a smoky blade.
Oh,
It literally
snap.
seems like a blade made out of shadow, and it seems to be almost like running off like frozen dry ice off of her blade, but it's black.
Where did you get that thing?
I made it.
Alrighty. I mean, I guess I've seen weirder.
Brother's not the only one that has powers.
Ah, okay. I see now. Well, that's cool.
Hashtag Hexblade.
And you couldn't escape?
She what?
And you couldn't escape?
Not when my hands are tied behind my back and I'm repeatedly bludgeoned and fed blood.
Yeah, okay. That'll do it.
That is fair.
Alright, well, we got the head. Let's get out of this forest.
Point of contention
Wait.
before we move forward, if you don't mind. And she walks over to Valium, and she goes, "You wouldn't happen to have a change of clothes that might fit someone about a little bit smaller than your size?" You're muted.
That's right.
I think I actually do, ironically.
Valium is the only female in the party.
I will
Yeah.
smite you.
I'm too big. Like, Vulcan would gladly give his own clothes, but
Yes,
fit.
she can have spare clothes.
Okay.
See? They're
So
not
you
fits.
hand her a set of spare clothes. She continues to wear the blanket just due to the fact that clothes are not winter clothing. But she seems to do all right. So what is the plan?
Alright, per minute. Why did they have... What reason did the orcs have for taking you? Do you know?
She thinks for a second. She goes, "Not sure. They're dumb, stupid orcs."
Oh, I mean, that's entirely true.
Insight check.
Sure.
Ooh.
Holy fuck balls. You're pretty sure that she does know something.
He's only pretty sure though that she knows something.
With a 26. Game is fucking rigged.
You're gonna
So-
sit there and cast Zone of Truth in front of her?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody
She is
lies to
orc.
me
Just-
anymore.
Okay. So what is your spell save DC?
It's 14.
No dice.
And I'm assuming you're doing this in front of, like, with everyone? A 15-foot radius is big enough to fit everyone in it.
Yep.
Can my
Oh, so
character
we
just kind
all
of
have-
accept it?
Yeah, you
And
can
I
just
would do
say,
this-
I'm not even contesting.
No, fuck it, I'm gonna give it a
Yeah.
shot. Damn it.
Beavis just starts spilling his dirty laundry. He's like, I'm pretty sure I don't actually fit in with this party. I kind of feel like I'm useless sometimes. I know everybody hates me. He's just a bunch of shit. I know there's no magical compulsion to start telling truths,
Yeah, it's like
but he can't stop talking.
Riley
So
just
it's
just-
all coming out.
Riley just palms his mouth. Just
Thorgil, you recognize that Pamina is able to break the power of this spell.
Hey.
She has succeeded in your charisma saving throw. And you know, basically, she can lie, and you know that she can lie.
Okay. Now Thorgil will give a little sigh and then, alright. Who here thinks I'm handsome?
Riley's just gonna
She just stares at you.
I will respond with, not bad.
Power.
And you hear, I think, just slightly under her breath, Valium, you hear, "I'm not really into hair."
Hey! I would like to just do like a bro fist, like on the sly, like a bro fist.
Yeah, she totally hits it and explodes it.
Yeah. La, 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 la. I got a bro. Deception, bro.
Anyways, I will say, don't you think it's strange, though, that they would take such an interest in you, in particular? Right? They killed everyone there, except you.
and he means
We
everyone.
only want to help. You can tell us, your brother, at least, if you don't want to tell it in front of all of us.
She shrugs and she goes, "Honestly, I was coming back from foraging out in the woods when they had already attacked, and I don't know, maybe they thought they could use me for something."
I mean, that's clear. I mean, they were going to kill you in some kind of weird ritual.
Yeah, it wasn't a question of will I die. It was more a question of when I will die.
I think it was more of a question of how.
But
I prefer not to think about those kind of things.
I mean, let's be real here. Back to the point of the question. They did grab you for something.
and they were way out of their way. There was a reason they were at your village.
Raiding my village is not the most rare thing to happen. If anything, we should inspect that altar. And she looks over at the big Goliath and she goes, "You wanted to inspect that, did you not?"
Yes, we must go back there.
Well, I figure if anyone would find answers, it would be you all at that location. They seem to put particular importance in chaining me to it. They could have killed me in some ritual anywhere. Had to be some creepy ice altar.
Cool.
Okay, so my character's best at intimidation, but he'd never intimidate a little girl.
Uh-huh.
But if we do move there, I guess on the way there he'll try to kind of like get on her good side, you know, like we're just
Sounds
here
like
to
a
protect you.
persuasion roll.
Yes,
Hey.
yes. I'll do that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, that's what he'll do. And even with just one fatigue, I still have disadvantage on ability check, so that sucks.
Okay. So give me a persuasion roll.
That's better
Okay.
than my usual rolls.
So what are you saying to her to get her to start to like
Yeah.
you?
I'm mostly saying that we are on her side here, and that we'll do our best to protect her, or at least I will, and that she should never lose hope, because when she said, "Oh, it's not a matter of will I die," my character definitely thinks of like, no, you should never think like that. You should always have hope that you'll be saved, and we are here as proof of that hope, that we can save you and we can protect you from whatever you're under or something like that.
You gather from your short travel back to the altar. She kind of giggles at what you say, and she goes, "You're still so young," and
Real bleeding heart type, huh?
yeah, and she goes, "But you are nice," and like that's all you really get out of her. Like she basically she totally passes off what you say to just be like, "You are way too ignorant to the ways of the world, but you're nice."
Yeah.
Which is really funny
fine.
considering it's coming from like an 11-year-old girl.
No, yeah. Well, anyone else calling me that, he'll probably be upset, but he wants to get it on her good side, so he just laughed it off.
Riley chuckles.
Yeah.
All right, so you return back to the crater. The bodies are still there. At this point, they are now thoroughly frozen through. The altar is still in its exact same position. Nothing seems to have changed. There is a light puff of snow that has now coated it from the snow that has fallen over the course of the night, but nothing that can't be quickly brushed off with a little bit of swipe of an arm or a hand.
I can clear the snow off the altar.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll
So-
go there, and with my rested body, cast Divine Sense again, and this time look for the consecration that I found the day
Okay.
before.
So you are searching for consecration.
Yes.
The altar itself is exuding this consecration. There's
Alright.
something greatly holy about this altar.
I'd like to roll an investigation check or something, and then suggest that Beavis check magic stuffs.
Perception.
What
So
I was-
are you trying to see something about this altar, or are you trying to determine why it is holy?
I am trying to determine, like, see if there's like any engravings on it or anything or anything. Okay, you want perception?
Well, maybe let me tell you what I want to do, and you might want to do something after what I do, because I want to roll Arcana to see if I can figure out what they were trying to do,
Okay.
and then maybe you could narrow in a little more after that, or
Okay, I'll hold off on the Arcana.
if that makes sense, or
I'd
Sure.
like to go forage the bodies for goodies.
Okie doke.
Wait, looting?
Yes, I'm starting without you.
so.
What?
I want to know if I can figure out what they were trying to do, so that then Riley can do his thing, but with a little more prior knowledge,
Okay. Beavis, from what you can tell, this was some kind of blood magic. They were definitely going to sacrifice the shit out of this little girl on this altar. They were going to bleed her dry in some capacity. You're not sure as to the purpose. It seems to be to some kind of pagan orc god, but beyond that, you're entering the realm of like religion and whatnot.
okay.
But
Alright.
that's kind of the thing. There is, definitely magically that there is power in blood, both because of its heat, because of its connection to the essence of a living creature, etc., etc. There's some really dark, nasty magic that can be done with blood and or people. But that's where the basically the concept of necromancy draws the line, because you have to have living people for that kind of
Mhm.
magic. And that's where necromancy goes, nope, they have to be dead. Like we only touch dead things. We don't touch
Yeah.
the living.
Wait a minute, that seems out of character for Balar.
Yeah. With learning that, can I aid Riley in any way with what he's doing?
Not really, because he's looking for like out of the ordinary type things.
Alright.
Whoa.
Never mind, you didn't need it.
Riley, as you search this, you see that the altar is engraved with runes and things like that, which Beavis kind of is pointing out. You kind of assist them in that with at least seeing them all.
I asked Beavis to write them down in his notebook.
Consider it done.
Okay. You have this problem when you're looking at the altar where it seems like every time you try to look at it, the color of the ice is shadowed. So that like normally ice gives off either a clear or a blue hue, depending on lighting. And with the current situation, you should be able to see all the way through the ice. But it's almost like you're trying to look through the ice at dusk instead. So it's always like you can't see through the ice every time you walk around it. From any angle you look at it, it seems like wherever the center is on this ice is pure black. It's completely shaded in darkness.
And the altar's made of ice.
Yes.
Did
I give loot for the orcs last session?
No.
Let's melt the sucker.
I was gonna say oh wow.
I'm actually surprised that it stood up. Huh?
What was that?
I'm actually surprised.
I said I agreed with Balar. We should melt it.
Yeah. Considering Beavis dropped a fireball right next to it, it seems to have held up pretty well.
Yeah, it seems unfazed by the fireball that impacted it.
This is probably not gonna do anything, but Vulcan's gonna try to do a region check again to see if it does anything about this altar. It only makes sense, even if I don't think it's gonna go anywhere. Wow, that's not a bad roll at least.
The altar? No,
Yeah,
this is way outside your purview.
Makes sense.
You definitely recognize that this is pagan. This is not belonging to the 10 gods in any capacity. But that's kind of where it lies. At that point, you just you just kind of scoff it off as heretical. And you
Yeah.
kinda let it hang as that. There's no reason that we should understand anything different from this. It is purely heretical, and it will always be heretical. And that's and I'm done. There is no reason for further knowledge or research on this. However, I should point out that that confounds you, considering that this heretical object is giving off a consecrated.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So that's not normal. That's weird.
Oh yeah, that should be really weird, because if it was truly heretical, then you should feel have a feeling of desecration, not.
Yeah. That's interesting. I guess I tell argue about that, but I don't think.
And I should mention, the feeling, the reason that you had it is this entire area gives a little bit of that, but it seems to be permeating from the altar. It's not completely the altar.
I guess Welcome will probably just kind of question his own, religion right now a little bit. Whoa. The staff is weird. Comes that?
Yeah.
That's some Moses type shit, is what that
Oh,
stuff
it's well,
is.
so Balar could have it though.
Super weird.
I'm out of attunement slots, I think.
freaking forgot that you were a warlock. That's weird. I just remember that he was thinking magic user. Yeah. So yeah, it's either you or Tavorel. That seems in character for you. I know you don't have any attunement slots, but I can see you doing some creepy snake stuff. Aw, you beat me.
That was a race about that? Okay, then. Right now.
So I'm just gonna blast it with an Eldritch Blast.
With the altar?
Yeah.
Riley would actually like to pull out his dagger and see if he can carve some ice from it.
Sure. Yes, you
Does it-
totally can. It's a little bit difficult,
Like-
but you can totally slice some shavings of the ice from the altar.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see if it does, like, if anything happens, or...
Nope. You cut a little bit of a shaving and it melts in your hand. You chip off a little bit of a larger piece, and you give it a lizardy smell, lizardy licky smell. Doesn't seem to be anything particularly different. Seems like ice.
What happens when it gets eldritch blasted?
Yeah, I shot it.
Larger chunks break off of it, but other than that, it doesn't seem to be phased at all. However, I will say that you notice that the dark feeling or the visual aspect seems to have not changed. It seems to be centered at the center point of this altar.
Mm-hmm.
So it, like when you impact that point, it should have changed like the refraction of light inside the ice, and it doesn't. It seems to have maintained exactly the same level of shading
Alright, well...
for your visual perspective.
Okay, we got some options at this point, right? So we could either keep blasting the sucker, throw some blood on it, or, I don't know, ignore it. What other choices do we have at this point?
I want to firebolt it.
Okay. Anyone have a problem with them firebolting?
Nope.
No.
Okay. You slam a firebolt into it. A large portion of it begins to melt. You now see what looks to be a small piece of something sticking out from the ice of the altar. Looks like maybe like a piece of a broken off branch or something, but you can't see the rest of it as it is enclosed in the ice.
So rather than keep blasting it, can I hold a prestidigitation of heat like near it and like archaeologists like melt around that area?
Okay, so basically hair dryer the ice around the object.
Instead of bomb it, hair dry it.
Sure. So it takes a little bit of time to do, and ultimately what you find is about a stick. I'd probably say about 4.5 feet long. That's in this altar, and there seems to be pictographs of some sort carved into the wood of this shaft.
Well, hey, pictures.
The wood is of a ashen make. It's almost pristinely white, but it has been rubbed with what seems to be like charcoal into the carved crevices to give it accentuation into its design. What was that you asked, Falcon?
Oh no, I was just thinking that it's pictures and
I love pictures.
I would also like to ask Balkan, you specifically, to roll me a
Yeah.
religion check.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I was going to do something about that, but disadvantage hurts, man.
I was gonna. Oh, you have disadvantage.
Yeah.
This is familiar. You just can't remember where you've seen it. It's like you're like. It's kind of like one of those things where like you've seen this so many times that you've almost put it past like recognizable memory. It's kind of like when you go by like the same street on your like road and then they bulldoze that building and then you're like, what the fuck was there?
Yeah, I got it.
I've literally driven by this place like for the last 10 years and I can't remember what was there. It's that kind of thing. You're like, I've seen this. I just don't know.
Yeah.
Where. Also, who's holding it?
Riley will pick it up.
Yeah, it's bigger than me. I didn't pick it up.
Riley to pick it up.
Riley, you feel that it has a slight tug. Like there's pressure on your hand when you hold it.
What do you?
It's ever so gently pulling you. Like yeah, like it's kind of like if a little kid like grabs your pinky, like it kind of feels like that kind of tug. Like it's not enough to move you, it's not enough to like be uncomfortable, but there's like this thing's totally fucking moving.
I hold it. You said it's a 4-foot stick, right? So it's like.
Yeah.
Big.
So I'm gonna hold. So pretty much. So staff or Beavis.
Also, I should mention that it seems to have been broken in half.
So this is only half of.
That's what you kind of saw, was that at some point it's been snapped or shattered on one end.
So this is only half of it.
Or a part of it. You're not sure how many parts, but I mean, how big could this be, really?
So Riley's gonna hold it out in the palm of his hands and see what happens.
Like you're just like holding it like this?
Ready to grab it if it starts like really taking off.
It slowly starts to roll out of your hands.
I follow with it. Does it keep rolling?
Well, eventually, if you let it roll out of your hands, it hits the snow, and then it stops.
Shouldn't we try to read it? Didn't they say it had pictograms on it?
Yeah. Beavis should write them down.
Yeah, but John, I had comprehend languages as a spell. Did you change my character sheet?
Nope, I haven't touched your character.
What the hell? We've used it before. I don't see it on here. So can I try and roll to do that? Because I don't want to obviously spend a half hour figuring out why my character sheet's changed.
This is not a language.
Oh, okay. When you said pictograms, I was thinking like hieroglyphic.
It's not like hieroglyphics. It's more like pictures in a cave that tell a story. If anyone's seen Moana, like where like he's got all the tattoos on his body that tell like stories about his great feats.
The story?
Yeah, absolutely. So what you gather is that the owner of this object, this stick, was a great warrior of Ixdur. You gather that he was a Goliath. And the staff basically tells of his great deeds. Particularly at one point, him slaying a dragon by himself, which Beavis finds both probably exciting and outlandish. There's no way that a single person could possibly kill a dragon the size of what it... Like, there's a picture of the dragon, and it's like the size of a mountain. Like, they have a picture of the dragon next to a mountain, and the dragon dwarfs the mountain in its size. To kind of, like, give a reference. Like, this dragon is basically what would be an ancient elder dragon in its capacity. And this single barbarian struck it low, essentially.
Barbarian or Goliath? Like, do we know that he's a barbarian? Or...
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You can tell because the character in it, is portrayed as a large being, but also that it has tattoos all over it, which is common of the barbarians' culture, that they mark themselves with their honorifics onto their bodies.
Barbarian or Goliath?
Goliath, that's what I mean. I'm sorry, I keep saying barbarian, but I mean Goliath.
All right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
So that's one of them. You also see what seems to be that Goliath receiving this stick at the top of a mountain, in front of what looks like steps that have been fractured. Like there's like this kind of like stairway that seems to go up to the clouds, and then it just seems to be broken at a point and kind of jagged on the staff, the stick thing, and a number of other things. There's obviously like there at one point there's a story about what seems to be the Goliaths going to war with the dwarves. And this great champion of the Goliaths has this gigantic war with this great dwarf that's able to literally shape the ground around him. And so there's like this kind of extended story of this battle between the two, at which point they both are incapable of killing each other.
Oh, nice. Cool.
At which point they then, between those two, the dwarf and this Goliath, they broker a peace between the two people, which is, depending on the age of this, probably the same peace that still extends between Hodheim and Fehoth today, which is older than old as far as things go. But as long as any of the dwarves in your party, or even or any of the Goliaths in your party can remember, it's always just been a well-known fact that Hodheim and Fehoth are like BFF forever.
Okay. So would that be enough to like jog my memory so I can try?
Tell you what, I'll let you do another roll. This
Another
one
religion
though,
or history?
I'll let you do either one, but you only get one.
Well, I'm awful at history. I was just saying because I already rolled religion. I gotta try religion again.
Okay. I believe in you.
Oh, come on!
The dice don't.
I'm just very tired. I'm just exhausted. That's the problem.
I have a question. So you said the stick's like tugging at me, right? So, roughly which direction is it tugging me? Like, is it like towards like, towards
Further into the Silent Wilds.
Okay. So not like towards like the wastes or the God, I need to pull up the map. The lake or the mountain is what I mean.
Yeah, it's not pulling you towards the Fractured Mountain. It's not pulling you to like the Rome depths. It's not pulling you up towards like the ice fields or the frothy water. It seems to be pulling you deeper in towards the Silent Wilds itself.
Odd.
Well, in case it wasn't apparent to everyone,
If you were following it, raise your hand.
yeah, it's like in case it wasn't apparent to the rest of the party, I informed them of what it's doing, and then promptly inform them that I really don't feel like going on another wild goose chase here.
I do kind of think that maybe this
Time we can walk slower.
warrior might be another member of the council.
Alright, plus we gotta go get our stuff.
Yeah, we could get our stuff and then.
I would like to bring Pam back to some sort of civilization.
Yeah.
Before we go trekking off to who knows where.
You see her plant her feet when she hears you say that, and she goes, "Oh, great! Just gonna leave me somewhere. Where are you gonna leave me? Mom's dead. Dad's dead. My brother's dead. The whole village is dead. Are you just gonna leave me in an orphanage?"
Jesus Christ. I guess we're taking the sister. Calm
Because
down.
they're dead doesn't mean they can't take care of you, right, Valar?
Wow. I mean, technically Balor's dead too.
Yeah, she just gives you like this like really cold. Actually, I want to roll an intimidation check on Thorgil real quick. Okay. She's not intimidating. I rolled a 3.
She turns very cute like Puss in Boots.
Yeah, she gives a very like anger Puss in Boots look, and she goes, because I do so love brains when you say that.
Well, she's sarcastic. Riley said, "No, the good news is they're not really using these anymore." Under his breath.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, go on.
I was kind of just planning on dumping you at the nearest city with a lot of money And that's about as far as I thought.
She goes, I figured as much.
What's
Just
stopping
throw
us
money at the problem. You sound like a noble.
They may as well be. He bought out an entire town.
going back to Winterguard and taking care of all this and asking about the stick? Because if it's a Goliath / dwarf hero, maybe somebody will know something.
Riley is okay with this.
And then we can at least take, because the dwarves are pretty nice. They might be able to help your sister, or unless there's a human settlement nearby.
Winterguard is clear on the other side of the mountain.
Didn't we decide? Weren't we planning on going back to Winterguard though?
That's where we were headed before we got to this point.
Yeah. Or is that now not?
You are essentially about a day and a half into the Silent Wilds.
So we would. Well, either way, we need to go back and get our stuff at the edge of the Silent Wild.
Right, which is about a day and a half, but in the opposite direction,
Of what?
where the stick is pulling you towards.
Well, yeah, but I think, don't we need to at least get our stuff before we go, because we can bring our stuff into the Silent Wilds, we just need to move a lot more slowly than we were before.
Yeah, you can totally do that.
So we should probably get our stuff and either go back and ask about this thing before we go off on a goose chase, or just set off on our goose chase.
No, let's go back and get the stuff.
Yeah.
We're on our own timetable in this one.
But once we get our stuff, are we going to go on our goose chase, or are we going to go try and learn more first?
Well, you all can figure that while you do your travel.
Yep.
So for the next, you take it slow. You're not rushing at this point. We'll say that to get back to the edge, due to your fatigued nature, it takes 2 more days.
But now,
But now everyone is back to their good old selves again. No fatigue. As you finally gather your stuff at the edge. As you... Who has the staff while you do this 2-day adventure back to the edge?
I mean,
Okay.
Riley didn't hand it up unless somebody really wanted it.
I feel
I mean,
Vex
it's a
wants
Goliath thing, and in the meantime, I'll probably use Divine Sense on it again, see if it's consecrated.
Oh yeah, you get that like 3 times a day, so you have like no issue doing another check.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%
So I'd like
holy
to
as fuck.
hold on to it, and
I-
then like,
You hold this thing and it's like holding onto a power line. Like it just like it practically like hurts to hold when you do your divine
oh,
sense.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
it's painful.
so
It's
I don't hold it.
It's like licking a battery, like except for the entire time you hold it. Yeah.
That's
It's
interesting.
not pleasant when you cast your when you hold it, it just like hums with magical power. But when you like tune into what it is, it's like it's just painful to hold. The sheer
Just strong.
the sheer overwhelming power that this broken piece of wood holds is just it hurts.
Yeah, so Vulcan would probably try to hold it for a bit too long until he finally admits that he can hold it. And they're like, no, I can handle this. I can't. No, I can't.
Yeah, until like you let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I'll add a little bit more to the story. You all see on this staff a number of battles throughout the time, particularly a number of wars between humans and Goliaths, at which point there were just absolute slaughters. The humans had no chance whatsoever in any of those fights. The Goliaths just absolutely annihilated them. And particularly this Goliath was at the head of most of them. This Goliath, like there's numerous kings or warlords or chieftains or whatever of human beings that have waged war with these Goliaths. And this Goliath just time after time after time kills that lead person. And then you see like a fleeing of the people just over and over and over, just war after war after war. This Goliath almost seems like he's like impermeable to damage or anything. Like Ixdor's guidance has made this Goliath practically like near God. Like it's just there's no doubt as to what it is. And ultimately, it shepherds in a time of peace for the Goliaths. This Goliath seems to have almost united the people. And this is when you see one of the last pictures is the Goliath leading the people to where the corpse was of this great dragon that he had slain on the side of the ocean. From this point, the bones have frozen over, mostly due to the weather from the frothy waters, and it has made almost what seems like a cliff face. And the last images on it are of the Goliaths apparently making a town on top of this great bone